know, my stepdad's Capricorn, but I don't really know much about Capricorn.
Just to go,
I do know that Mercury is in Gatorade right now, so that's tough for everyone.
Mercury's in Gatorade?
Mm-hmm. It's in retrograde, but I say Gatorade. It's a Chris Marler special.
I thought you were talking about like chemical, like mercury, like they found mercury in Gatorade. I'm being serious right now.
I know you are.
I'm not. This is not a bit. I like what are you saying?
Mercury retrograde is something with like the planets, and it usually causes like technical problems, communication problems, and all of those things.
Sure.
But because like the astrology girlies get made fun of quite a bit, they like make fun of it by saying like Mercury's in Gatorade or like all of those things. So that is my explanation for you on astrology stuff.
I can drink Gatorade.
You're safe to drink Gatorade. There's no actual mercury in Gatorade. Just so we're clear. Gatorade is good. And if they wanted to sponsor the podcast, we'd let them.
Yeah, maybe not now because of we'd love it. Gatorade's great.
The bad
Gatorade's
PR.
delicious.
I mean, it's good PR. We're saying Gatorade is safe to drink. Like, what if someone else sees that meme and thinks the same thing you thought? Now we're saying that Gatorade is safe for all to drink. Within reason, also consult your doctor.
Clear, I would not be the only one to think that. I hope. I'm going to just
work that to find out. We're putting a survey out there.
Leave this in. For all I care. We're starting the podcast. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Welcome back. No puns allowed. We got a lot of shit to talk about. But
yeah, we actually really do.
Everyone, hold up your cans. This is a Stella Artois, I like to call it, in honor of one Paige. Congratulations. Paige is officially engaged.
Yes.
And I am, all right, sentimental moment for like 2 seconds. I am so happy for you. You texted me over the weekend, and first and foremost, I didn't want to be like the guy that posts the engagement nudes on social media first. Not going to be that guy. I'm like, I know better, but I am really happy for you. It's super exciting. So how was your weekend? And tell us, the clip notes versions of this.
Shout out to Nick, too. Obviously, this is a big...
Please. No, just you on the pod.
Me.
Shout out to Nick as well.
Shout out to Nick. Yes. So obviously, weekend was really great. Definitely a surprise. Setup was me going out to lunch with my friends. And it was basically like any normal day. Went out to a girls' lunch for one of my friends' birthdays. And honestly, I knew, like, I kind of was expecting it in like a little bit of time, like not exactly when, but like we had already discussed this obviously. And so when I got to this lunch and he wasn't there, I was like, oh, okay, this isn't a setup, it's not happening. So I kind of was like, did not think anything of it. And then he was waiting outside in this little courtyard outside of the restaurant, and pulled me aside and did the spiel. And I got down on one knee and asked him, which was amazing. And then afterwards, my family and friends were back at my house for us to celebrate. Everybody did, in my world here, did so much to kind of set up and also not let me know. I am probably one of the nosy people alive. Also, another funny thing, my boyfriend, or I guess fiance, left his phone at home. So even if I checked his location, I wouldn't have known where he was. He really covered his bases with that. And I hadn't checked, so I didn't know, but he left his phone at home so that it wouldn't be ruined. So yeah, it was overall an amazing surprise. Very happy, obviously, and it worked out. So we've got some hardware and we're ready to go.
There we go. That's the level of process planning on his part, on the location.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Well, that is
all the details.
Amazing. The first thing that you and I talked about, other than, the celebration part of, is the wedding time. And you've made your point known on this podcast prior.
Yes.
A fall wedding is not in your future.
No,
I just want to confirm that that is the case. Yes.
that is the case. And I think that's not because I don't want my guests not to miss football games. It's because I legitimately would be stressed out during that time and wouldn't get to enjoy my wedding. So that is the reason why I wouldn't have a fall wedding.
Yeah.
It's not because of football. It is in a sense because like with my job, but I also would love to like be in an off season and be able to enjoy the that weekend, which will be very fun. But yes, it will not be during football season, and it's very weirdly coordinated with the fact that this fall wedding conversation is now back on the internet. We've obviously talked about it on this podcast. I
Yeah.
I tweeted my like, this is my take. I feel like we shouldn't be talking about this, but if I was to have a take, my take is not everyone's life revolves around football. I understand if people invite me to their wedding, and you just have to be okay with me watching football games while I'm at your wedding, but I will absolutely go to your fall wedding. And I feel like that's a fair agreement.
Yes. I got married during the fall. Okay. First off, the argument is so tired now. Like
It is.
This is our third bout of fall wedding, which is fine. Like one more shot on this, I'm in. So I got married in the fall, and it was awesome because we couldn't get our venue otherwise. And I love the fall. Part of the reason I love football is I love fall. I also, candidly, I wasn't into college football as much as I am now. I loved college football. I think I was just at the onset of working it. That's how old I am. So, like, it was different than it is now. Like, now it would create some complications, but not because I wouldn't want to, because of it's my job. Like, and your point is a good one. It's not just that weekend. If it's your wedding, it's the weekend before. It's the weekend after.
Yeah, there's like stuff that comes before for like, there's like bachelorette trip, bridal shower, things like that that lead into it. So if I did it then, it would also be multiple Saturdays off for me.
But these fucking people, Paige, these losers, these fucking losers that are like this machismo, like how dare you do the fall? I didn't want to take the bait. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Like this is the I love football more than you love football contest, and like, congrats, buddy. Like, way to go. Way to congratulations. You love it. You love it that hard where you're going to abandon your friends. Way to go, man.
Well, yeah.
Super cool. And, like, come on.
And people have gone out of their way to be like, yeah, I don't love anyone enough to miss this. And like, good for you. I personally love lots of people enough to miss certain weekends of college football. Like I said, there's probably games I'm going to watch my phone. I literally did it last year. I had so many weddings last fall. I had 2 in October. And I watched Notre Dame USC on my phone out of reception. Okay. And that's not even a great game, but I'm still watching it. So to be fair, like there's ways around it. It's also, that's the other point of this. I saw someone tweet out, like, it's not 2007. Like, you guys have phones. You guys, there are probably TVs at some bars and like venues. Like, you can find the game. You can watch the game. It's not the end of the world.
Like, I am one of the least tech accessible savvy people that you know.
Can confirm.
And I did have a fall wedding last year, actually. It was through Caitlin's family, my wife's family, and it's with a bunch of Notre Dame fans, and we stood and watched Notre Dame on somebody's iPhone. Like, it was a fun time, actually. It made it kind of memorable. Live your life and don't listen to assholes. Like, just grow up. Like, grow up, and if your life is that boring that you can't miss a college football Saturday, then, like, I would encourage you to expand your horizons a little bit and don't be a douchebag. So I didn't want to do this. I did not go into this thinking I was going to get mad, but here I am getting mad.
It's very frustrating.
Sorry.
I'm also just now noticing that my microphone is not properly connected, so that'll be fun. They can definitely hear me, but it's going to be, we might stop this and start re-recording just so we can get the microphone back in action. And we're back. The microphone is back.
Oh, we're not redoing that though, because those takes are organic. I mean, that is us to a T. So in any event, fall wedding rants are over. You and I also did a video this week. Last week we did what will the 8 people look like. This week we explored the 8 people. Now, there are a couple of things that we should talk about. First and foremost, we are, I'm not an arrogant person, but I can say that no one in the universe, no tandem is built to talk about the 8 people more than you and I think people have their skill sets. Like I have a very specific set of skills, and it's
Mm-hmm.
talking about the fucking AP.
Yeah.
That has become our niche. So I love the show. Weird chat and all. People are getting mad at each other. They're getting mad at us. All the different takes. But what was your thoughts about the AP poll? Like, what was your biggest surprise?
I mean, biggest surprise was actually how low Michigan was. I thought they were going to give them the benefit of the doubt. How high Florida State was, kind of interesting. And then again, I think Alabama's in the right spot. I saw that this is the lowest they've been ranked since 2009 in a preseason poll. So like, this is definitely a step down for Alabama, even though it doesn't appear that way to everyone. But like you said, the biggest thing was that chat was so incredibly active. And so I can tell people are really excited for there to be football games. We talked about this after doing the like predicting the AP poll. We were like, it's really hard to do this over and over again, predicting wise, because you can only go off so much. Now we're about to be getting games and we're going to be able to evaluate these teams based on this year's performances. And like, I've never been more excited because of the fact that one, the playoffs expanded, two, conference realignment. Like it's so much all at once that I'm really looking forward to getting into the actual football, because I feel like this is just an inaugural year for a lot of things.
Yeah. Florida State felt, I think when you and I did our video, we had them at like 15 or 16 and, where we thought they would be.
Mm-hmm.
So that I believe was by far our biggest discrepancy, because you look at everybody else that we had, like Iowa, a little bit off, Kansas State or Oklahoma State, like we had pretty much everybody where they were supposed to be for the most part, I think. Florida State was the biggest outlier by far. And I just kind of believe it when I see it. Like I do. I like the team. And I hate shitting on the ACC because these videos, like, for whatever reason, it feels like we just like stockpile on the ACC the entire time. We're just piling on.
Which is so funny that people pick up on that. Sorry, I was looking up Florida State's schedule really quick so we could run through it. But it's funny that the chat genuinely believes that we hate not Florida State. We just hate the ACC in general. No, and what's funny is I told you this after the show too, is that now people know that we do this every time. They're like, they hate on them every year. They've hated on them. Or someone's tried to say that I hate on Notre Dame every year. I've been a Notre Dame apologist for, I think, for the last 2 years. Now I'm a little tired, okay? Now I don't know that I can be. But it's so funny that people think that we don't like the ACC, and it's more so like they haven't proven anything. Much like people try to talk about the Pac-12, but like they obviously proved something before they collapsed, essentially. But the ACC really hasn't, and I know people are gonna be like Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. Well, that was semi a surprise. We knew they'd be decent. Obviously, injuries caused them not to be as successful, but like it's been a minute since you guys have had Clemson to kind of piggyback that off of. So I think we're all right, but I was very surprised at how high they are.
As a reminder, next week's pod, we'll have week 0 betting advice, which is fucking crazy to say.
What's the line for?
Oh, well, why don't you tell me what the line is on Florida State versus Georgia Tech in Ireland?
I think it's more than a touchdown.
It is.
Okay. I'm going to say 10.5.
11.5. Nicely done. Way to start the year off like strong.
I know.
11.5.
All right.
It's kind of a weird number. I don't feel like you see too many 11.5s out there. It's just an odd.
If I had to guess before kickoff, that's gonna go down to probably 10.5.
Really?
I don't think it's gonna go up.
Well, Georgia Tech's kind of a weird team.
Georgia Tech's a weird team. It's honest, isn't it? It's in Dublin, right?
It's in Ireland.
Yeah. So
it's in Ireland.
Weird things can happen. It's week 0.
This week 0 slate, by the way, is rough. Okay, like they're all rough. But this is rough. Like I'm excited. Like, look, we will. If you want Montana State, New Mexico betting advice, like I was scouting this because Locks of the Week on Bleacher Report started next week too, and I candidly don't know what the deal is with Montana State. Right, I'm gonna have to do some diving.
Maybe
into
we
this
should call in West Wilson.
Just like, hey, buddy,
or Bravo
like
Liberty,
Hawaii. like Hawaii Vanderbilt has to be a week 0 game. That's like your perfect week 0 game. The fact that we don't have that is sad. But we'll get into that. So other AP poll thoughts. Anything else AP poll?
Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, obviously there was no group of 5 teams, so we talked about that. How like there is going to be a group of 5 team that makes the college football playoff. So to start off the year with none ranked, so it's the highest ranked group of 5 team gets an auto bid. Very interesting, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Not only that, but when you look at the others receiving votes, right? So you've got Louisville, you've got Virginia Tech, who I think is a really interesting thing. Then you have Boise State. Okay, SMU, Iowa State. Then you have Liberty. Why? I mean, there's not a lot of love for the group of 5 right now.
No.
But whether you love them or not, they're going to be a huge part of the story this season.
I think Tulane's a team, too, that is probably most likely to jump in sooner because they play Oklahoma pretty early in the season. So, and clearly Oklahoma is getting a lot of respect. So I feel like if Tulane can kind of keep that close and have everything else being a win. Yeah.
New quarterback.
Yeah.
We're going to talk group of 5 today. It's really interesting because it is kind of like this just odd state of the state for the group of 5 teams. So we'll talk about that. How about a little Hard Knocks Notre Dame? Speaking of Ireland, so we have a Peacock version. Peacock's having a moment, by the way, good moment, of Notre Dame that is coming. It will premiere on August 29th. What is that? Why are you laughing?
Just laughing at you in general. Peacock's having a moment.
Well, yeah, it's like the old guy thing to say. So August 29th, they're having your cup, by the way. Can you lift your for anyone watching on YouTube? Look at that thing. That thing is
beautiful.
How would you describe that?
This is a rhinestone football Stanley cup, even though it's not a Stanley because they had lead. So I probably shouldn't say that. They could possibly. There were some that were found that had lead. This is not a Stanley cup, though. We're really just killing it with the
lead
and mercury today.
Mercury references. Yeah, it's like 8 minutes.
We're trying to be healthy and promote health. So it's a giant water cup, insulated cup that is decorated in rhinestones as a football. My mom got it for me last year, and I pulled it out because it's almost football season, and it goes with my bling. So
goes with your bling. It's very nice.
Anywho, Notre Dame is going to be on their own version of Hard Knocks.
So I don't think it's going to be nearly as cool as Hard Knocks. Right? Like we pretty much know that going in. Like because it's college kids, you can't have it as cool, right?
Yeah. I mean, now they can get paid, so that's a little cool. But I don't know how Notre Dame does that, being like very traditional. Also, this isn't the first time they've done something like this. Don't you remember that BR did a partnership with them one year? And it was years ago when we still had like a young athletes team and all that.
Yeah.
BR did a thing where somebody was with them, cameras were with them, and they had some behind the scenes stuff that we got to be able to post on social. So it is not the first time they've done this, but I know Peacock, obviously they're rights buddies. Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting insight. I'm curious to see how it goes because again, college football is a little bit more lax with what quote kids can say because we can pay them now and there's all kinds of things involved. So I'm curious how it will go. I do think it's a very fascinating season to be filming them.
Me too. Yeah, I mean that is it. Depending on who you that's pretty much the case for Notre Dame every year.
Yeah.
But depending on who you talk to, they're going to be strong takes either way.
Yes, and I also think that will have friends that have never watched college or don't love college football that will probably have boyfriends or husbands that watch this and they see the coach and say, "Hey, Paige, how come you didn't tell us that we should be watching Notre Dame football?" So I'm excited for the TikTok content for that because I know that's coming. So it'll be good.
Okay. Other college football newsy things.
Yes.
Real quick, and then we'll get into betting and other stuff, and we'll talk group of 5. Christian Clark, freshman running back at Texas, tears his Achilles. Really good recruit, not like a freshman, obviously, so you don't know playing time, but that is brutal because I think they have 3 scholarship running backs now. CJ Baxter, of course,
Yep.
last week, down another running back. This is the part of this time of year I fucking hate because it feels like all the updates you're getting, like we don't have the normal smorgasbord, it feels like, of quarterback battles, so to speak, and it feels like every update I'm getting is something bad.
Like injuries.
It's not good for Texas, man. Like, it's not good. Not good. Like, you don't, they're going to happen during the year. You understand it. And it's just, again, you want to have fresh guys. Already losing them in August. That's just a brutal way to start.
That is kind of brutal. And I mean, we talked even on this podcast and then on the AP poll showed that, like, one of Texas's strengths is that they're a lot deeper now than they have been in years past. But you could still be a pretty deep team, and those injuries can start to pile up and really have an impact, and you don't want that, especially for them last year having injury issues as well.
This has happened to like Bama, which had unquestioned depth for a while, went through a stretch of running backs who were being injured. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough. They still have really good players. Don't get me wrong. It's just the problem is what if. So that was one thing that caught my eye. The other thing that caught my eye was Wisconsin making Tyler Van Dyke the starting quarterback officially. So I said there's no quarterback jobs. I didn't even view this really as a job because I thought he was going to start. Look, I am not high on Wisconsin. What's that?
No, you're not high on Wisconsin at all.
No, I don't know what to do with this kid. He, like, in moments has looked great. In other moments has not. So I don't know where you are with this. Like, he was like a legit NFL guy for a while, and then I feel like it quickly faded. Quickly faded, especially last year, obviously.
Yeah, well, and I think a benefit to the new landscape of college football, because like I've joked a million times, everybody has a transfer quarterback. I feel like there are opportunities for this to work out in their favor. We've seen quarterbacks go from one place to another, and in that second place they've really thrived. So I am curious to see what the transition is for him because, like you said, he did have flashes of being successful. So it'll be interesting for a Wisconsin team that kind of really needs a jolt here.
So we have that. So the other thing I want to introduce to you is something that was introduced to me today, which is a new way to bet, which I absolutely fucking love ways to bet.
What?
So on DraftKings, we have over-unders on the number of playoff teams that are going to come from the Power 4 conferences. Okay. So we have the ACC, we have the Big 12, we have the Big 10, and we have the SEC. Now, we'll be honest. I talked about this pre-show. I gave you the ACC numbers.
So we'll do the other ones.
The over-under on the ACC football teams.
Okay.
No,
go ahead. I thought you were going to say the other ones.
No. So it was 1.5, and it's -120, under -110. I would take the under, by the way, with ACC. I don't know how you feel about the ACC.
You said you would take the under?
I would take the under with the ACC.
So would I.
1.5. Now that we've said we don't shit on the ACC, we immediately start shitting on the ACC. All right. Big 12 college football playoff teams. What do you think the line is here? This is hard, by the way. This is tricky. And I'll explain why after you guess.
Set at 1.5 also? Or 2.5? 2.5?
1.5.
1.5 also, okay.
The under is -140. The over is +105.
So I'm going to take the over.
Really? Well,
yes. Because if they don't cannibalize themselves, they have a really strong case.
I agree with that.
For an at-large bet.
It's a really interesting...
The SEC has, let's see, they have Missouri, Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. So they have 5 teams that realistically could be playoff teams. Now, some of them have to play each other. I said Georgia, right? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I didn't.
No,
but anyway, I think there's more opportunity for the SEC to cannibalize itself and not get as many teams in. I think like the Big Ten is in a safe spot because, yes, they have probably Ohio State, and I'm going to say Penn State and Oregon. You know, I may be leaving Michigan out of that. You know what I mean? I think there's just plenty of opportunity for those really good teams in those conferences to have to play each other now. And I think that's going to make it a little like the Pac-12 used to be, where like there was a circle of suck a little bit. So it'll be interesting for me to see how many SEC teams, but I'm guessing the number that's set on that is 4.5, maybe.
For SEC, you're spot on.
Yep.
4.5. Yeah. Minus 150 over 4.5 plus 120. And the Big Ten, you hit 3 and the under is 3.5 minus 185 and the over is plus 150, right? So one spot, is group of 5 bound, right? So you're fighting for 11 spots.
Yeah.
You know that all of these conferences are getting one, right? So you're guaranteed one. The question is, will the ACC or the Big 12 get that large?
Yeah.
And then the Big Ten. So the other thing, I bring it up, the playoff odds being interesting, because I'm doing a story on VR next week, which is odds for teams to make the playoff. And I'm looking at these odds. And I'll tell you what this is, because the odds are so screwed up. But like by way of example, Ohio State's yes, no on the playoff. So when you had a 4-teamer, I don't know, a team like Georgia could be like minus 200 or minus 250. But even that was crazy.
They're minus elite. And like 600?
Minus 650, dude. Fucking.
I knew that was going to happen.
And like you're goddamn. Dude, you're
no,
like.
You want to know why? Because I knew these odds would be so crazy now, because there's certain teams like Ohio State. What's Ohio State? Minus 550?
Minus
like
650.
I don't.
They're getting in.
Okay.
Ohio State minus 650 to make the playoff. They are the biggest favorite on the board.
Okay, I said Georgia.
I believe, was minus 600. Minus 600.
Minus 600.
So you're right there.
I guess. Yeah. Like they're going to be insane, because obviously there's 2 opportunities. They can be 1-loss teams. They could be, you know what I mean? And their schedules are lining up for it to work out for an at-large bid, even if they don't get a regular.
Even a team like Miami is plus 220, which isn't bad. Like, that's Miami.
What's Arizona?
They have been a fucking laughing stock. Alabama, by the way, minus 110. Arizona is plus 750.
It's Iowa.
Pretty good value. Only do plus 600.
Wow.
Plus
so people 600. Are giving Iowa better odds.
Did you read the scrimmage note? I mean, I don't know why anyone would actively pursue Iowa scrimmage notes.
No, I'm sorry. That's not in my repertoire of things that I mean, what were they? Please tell me.
Iowa scrimmage, right? Hold on. Let me find the.
Also, I don't know if you saw this, but during our live show, somebody said, "Adam, please explain to me why I was in the top 25." We had already talked about Iowa when we had moved into the middle of the pack, but it was just a really funny comment that people started calling us by name, asking for things to be discussed.
Well, because they know us now. They know our levels of homerdom. All right, here, hold on. I'm going to find. This was funny. Like, Scott Van Pelt responded to this, like, with the guy mowing his lawn, implying me to go mow my lawn. All right, so here is the main takeaway from the stat line. Cade McNamara, starting quarterback, we think, although there's a kid pushing him now, final scrimmage stat line on Kids Day, 8 for 24 for 20 yards and what amounted to a pick 6. 8 of 24, 20 yards. Like, that's fucking hard to do. 8 passes. First off, completing 8 passes for 20 yards is like, okay, your checkdowns, like, I don't know what you're, like, you have to really try hard to do that.
Yeah.
You basically do not complete a single pass to a wide receiver.
I think I'm going to do something this year. I think I'm going to do something this year that may be hurtful to you, but I'm going to do it. and I'm sorry in
Okay.
advance. I'm going to parlay the under on Iowa's points and take the under for every game on points total. So not just Iowa's points, but also the total point total.
Team points.
Team
points.
Team
Total
points and game. And I'm going to bet the under for every single game and see how much I end up. Not that much money, but I'm going to just see what would happen. I'm going to rebet that money each time I win it as well. So we'll see what happens. But I'm actually going to do that and give people the total at the end because I feel like that is a very safe, and it makes it more fun because it's not just the under always. It's at least on one thing. It's a little parlay, so you get a little double bonus and probably helps odds as well. So that's what we're going to do this year, by the way.
Thanks. Really appreciate it.
You just said this like very heartfelt thing, congratulating me at the beginning of the pod. I was like, by the way, your team kind of stinks.
To my friend, to my fucking. Also, I've got one other more random thing, and I know this, but it's becoming more apparent now as I'm like schedule hopping. It's the schedule hopping season for everybody like getting in the content game. Florida's final stretch of games.
Okay.
Have you seen it? Here is your Florida. Here's your November for the Florida Gators, right?
Okay.
November 2nd, Georgia, right? In Jacksonville. November 9th at Texas. November 16th at LSU. Or excuse me, at home versus LSU. November 23rd versus Ole Miss. November 30th at Florida State. So you have number 1, number 4, number 13, number 6, and number 10 in November.
I don't know if you remember, but not in this last live show, but the one before that, we were predicting the AP polls. Someone asked where Florida was, and I said, if Florida can get through their schedule, they would definitely deserve to be ranked.
It's one of the worst schedules in the history of college football. In the history, it's not hyperbole. They actually open with Miami too. I mean,
yeah,
and that's a game. If you're Billy Napier, you pretty much have to have. I don't even know if they're going to be that bad. It's just
what's their total on wins?
Win total?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll write on it. It. I don't think it's like. It is. Around. No. Is that it at the top? No, that's Florida State. Florida State's win total is 9.5. Florida's win total is 4.5. The over -155. The over's getting juiced right now to win 5 games. They got to have some. I mean, there are some layups in there, right? Like there's got to be. What is the rest of the schedule look like? Let's do this game. I can't help myself. All right, so Miami. That's a win or loss.
That's a loss.
0-1. Samford. There you go. On the board. 1-1. Texas A&M.
Where is it at?
It is at home.
You know what? I'll give them that one. I doubt it, but I'll give it to them.
2-1. At Mississippi State. Oh, that is such a letdown game. I can't wait to bet Mississippi State. I've already mentally bet Mississippi State. But
so you're going against them. So 2-2?
I think we're looking at 2-2 here in some capacity.
Okay.
UCF at home. That's a win, I guess. Right? 3-2. At Tennessee, that's a loss. So that's 3-3. Kentucky, we want to give them Kentucky. Oh, they lose to fucking Kentucky every year. Well, we can give them Kentucky if you want.
Okay.
That's 4-3. And then Georgia, loss, 4-4. Texas, loss, 4-5. LSU,
yeah,
loss. Ole Miss, loss. At Florida State, loss. 4 wins is what I got. So I don't know about that juice total. That's a brutal schedule.
Yeah, that is brutal.
All right, let's talk a little bit.
Yes.
About officially our college football preview begins now with our group of 5 look-arounds. Now, none of these teams, apparently, according to April voters, are worth an absolute shit, but they matter to us, damn it. So what group of 5 team do you want to start with and to chat about? I could do some gambling polls as you're talking.
Let's start out west and go with Boise State, because we mentioned them last week on the pod. I do think they could be a team that, I know Liberty is like the hot, team to pick for the group of 5 spot, but I think Boise State has a really good case. The big thing is not getting blown out by Oregon, which is like, yeah.
I still can't believe they got Malachi Nelson. Like, this was a top 5 overall recruit, right? Went to USC, transferred here. Things I've heard have been very good. I was talking to a couple people like this week. The things I've heard are very, very good. So yeah, whatever. That Oregon game is a problem. You're gonna probably get your ass kicked. The win total, by the way,
early
for
in the
Boise
season.
State,
but it's
go ahead.
Say if you have one loss and it's Oregon, like, there are other group of 5 teams that maybe don't have, I don't know, as easy of a schedule. I don't want to say it's easy because it's not easy, because obviously you have Oregon on there, but like you have your loss coming to someone who's like really like is going to either get the auto bid or an at-large bid for the playoff regardless.
Well, they were brutal. They started off 3-4 last year, and they really got it together. And they've had kind of a quarterback revolving door. They've got good players returning. And again, I think it really depends on how you feel about Nelson. The guy, I think, is electric and or could be electric. I mean, this is kind of a rarity to see a quarterback of this skill to go to a place like Boise State. I don't mean it to offend. And then, yeah, there are losable games on here. Washington State is an interesting game. Oregon State, of course, is an interesting game. But those teams are both taking a step back. Playing at Wyoming, I mean, that place is like the death to winning football games. Like, it's always hard. At UNLV, that's a really hard game. UNLV's been pretty good. But I like this team a lot, and I think it's a team that definitely... Did they get any AP poll votes? Let's see.
They did. I think they were behind Liberty in terms of group of 5 teams. They received...
They were third, 47 votes.
Yeah, 47 votes.
That was legit.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Liberty. So they made a New Year's Six game, which I think the team considered the favorites to make the playoff. 13-1 last year. Salter, the quarterback, who was really good, was going to transfer, then decided to stay. They get their starting running back. I don't know, man. Chadwell is a really good coach. Like,
yeah.
There's no.
I mean, I wanted him to come to Arizona.
Oh,
I will say something about group of 5 teams that is maybe different, and I can't say this for all Power 5 teams because there's certain teams that definitely have brought back a lot of their starters, but I will say at the group of 5 level and range, a lot of people stick around for a lot longer and are not just there even for like a year to transfer in to be at a better school. These are guys that have actually like been pretty seasoned. So I feel like production wise, you can take sample sizes of maybe last year, or look at, their schedule, and kind of map out who will be the ones to actually stand out and continue that success, because it's different than just it's different than like even schools like Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State, where like there's a lot of overturn, especially with NFL guys as well.
I'm looking at Liberty's schedule. Over under 10.5 wins. The over is favored at minus 125. Okay. You open with Campbell. All right. Campbell. I love the Campbells, the Fighting Camels in the mix. I think Campbell lost a football game to Florida State one time, like 105-0. I mean, Campbell is there to get their ass kicked. You have New Mexico State, UTEP, East Carolina at App State. That's going to be a really good football game at the end of September. FIU, Jacksonville State at Middle Tennessee. I mean, this is your playoff team, Paige.
I don't know though.
This is your maybe not, but this schedule is not great. And
App State, Jacksonville State. I think those are two losable games.
I think they are too. Who else? I've got a few more, but who else is like catching your eye
obviously.
in this conference?
Memphis.
Yeah. Good quarterback. Hennigan's back.
I'm
such an interesting team, Memphis.
Question: if you are a group of 5 team,
yes.
Do you, because of the expanded playoff, do you sort of go like the Michigan route and like pick very easy people to play because you know that, like, you know, if you can manage your conference and you pick really easy teams to play, like someone gets an automatic bid? I know strength of schedule does matter, but like how much at that stage of it, you know what I mean? Like, is that your strategy?
A great question. So, like, well, you still like getting paid to go play. Like, so Memphis, plays a Florida State, and
I guess, and you could still technically get in with one loss. Like, if you play one game, that's kind of like what I was saying with Boise State. They have one game that they can lose, and it's like they still will be at the top of conversation.
I think on paper, I have nothing to validate this. I look at Memphis' schedule versus Liberty's. They play Troy, who's good. They play at Florida State. They play at UTSA. And they play at Tulane. I mean, this is a harder schedule.
Well, I mean,
that's
a good.
I agree with you. That's another
for
team.
Those teams. That kind of sucks that they, have to play each other because they're both in a situation where they could be selected for it. So,
Tulane's another one. Of course, this has been kind of one of the faces of Group of 5 excellence of the last few years. Willie Fritz is gone. He goes to Houston, which I think is going to be a really nice hire for them long term. And Pratt is gone, so you've got Ty Thompson, the Oregon QB, who's in, and it's a big change though. They were 23-4 the last couple years, and so I don't think I think Tulane's going to take a little time to rebuild properly. Personally, I think they'll be fine. I think it's going to take a little time though.
I want to say that I read
UTSA.
Something about Memphis's return of production. Look if I can find it. Gosh, I cannot wait for football to be here.
10 starters are back from the office on Memphis. The defense was pretty shitty. And I don't know if you want players back. It's like one of those things where, like, from a year ago, it's like, well, they let up 29.8 points a game. They return no starters. You're like,
I'd just like to say, I clicked on an AAC really preview, and the first thing that's like chunked right in there are the odds. So Tulane is favored over Memphis to win that conference. Wait, that is so weird. Okay, wait. The win totals for Tulane is set at 7.5. Okay. And Memphis is set at 9.5. So how could they be? Oh, they didn't do it in order. Sorry. I was like, that doesn't make. Yeah, actually, it does say that.
So Memphis on DraftKings plus 220, Tulane plus 310, UTSA plus 450.
Okay.
Liberty, by the way, is one of the biggest favorites that we have. Conference USA minus 200 for Liberty.
Wow.
Which is, I think, the biggest of all favorites to win a conference in terms of odds. Well, football.
Yeah, it says Memphis is over it. They just put it in the wrong order. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's Have you done any future betting yet, by the way?
No, I haven't, I don't think. So I usually do, obviously I live in California, so I bet when I'm in Arizona, and I usually place my futures pretty early. I mean, I'm sure I put a Arizona bet in for the playoff. I'm like pretty positive that I have one of those.
Yeah, that's like at all times. There's
Yeah,
a
like that's just
basketball
like
and or football bet at all times.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's like you agree there, you bet Arizona.
Yeah.
The only other one that I when I wrote about, I want to talk about the MAC. I feel like the MAC just gets kind of a little bit shit on. Not shit on, but like we don't view the MAC in the same breath. I feel like we view some of these other teams. Miami, Ohio is going to be pretty good. Miami, Ohio was good last year, closed out really well. That's a fun conference with Toledo, who should be good again. I've got good MAC vibes. Like, and plus, like once the season stretches out here, we get football games like Tuesday, Wednesday. So the MAC itself is just by existing is wonderful.
So, question: are you taking Liberty as your Group of 5 team to make the playoff at the start of the season?
I am.
Okay, I'll take.
By the way, hold on. Let's. So Liberty to make the playoff.
You said was minus.
Not Liberty to make the. I do not see Liberty to make the playoff.
Here.
Somebody has to make the playoff. In any event, yes, the Group of 5 is amazing. Even if they're the top 25 voters want to continue.
Even if they don't want to put them in right now, they're still going to get in because the other rankings are the ones that I don't want to say matter, but
yes,
they do. Let's talk about the conference that everyone thinks we shit on, because we do think they'll. I mean, they'll obviously get a playoff team regardless if we want them to have one or not. They have teams joining their conference this year. The ACC is something, but I feel like are on the vibe that Clemson is going to be the team. I mean, I don't know if obviously if Florida State, if everything looks perfect, then great. It seems like to me people are really betting on Florida State being like they were last year.
I think I'm struggling with the ACC because I think there are interesting cases to be made within like the top 6, but I think Clemson is my team. And I kind of wrote about them. Like, I don't love this offense, but I love the defense. Doesn't the offense have to be better under Klubnik and Riley? Or is Klubnik just this guy? Is he just going to be the same guy for 4 years? Is that possible? That might be possible.
Yeah, I'm looking at Florida State's schedule. It's not, I guess, they play a decent amount of preseason ranked teams. So you've got Notre Dame, you've got Miami, you've got Clemson. So, but like the first part of their
Georgia,
season,
not
great. Yeah, with Georgia Tech.
I feel like
starting with Georgia Tech.
These first 5 games are brutal.
Yeah.
They're brutal.
Really?
So yeah,
for Florida State.
You get. No, for Clemson. Sorry, for Clemson.
Oh, I was like, what? I'm like, starting with Georgia. I'm like, they play Georgia Tech. What are we talking about here? Whoa, sorry.
No, like the Clemson start is Georgia, then they play App State, which is like not exactly like Cupcake City. They play NC State, who I think is going to be really good. They play Stanford, and then they play at Florida State. I mean, that's not fun. That is. I mean, and
if it came down to it, and like maybe their strength of schedule will give them a leg up on. Because I think the Big 12. I'm trying to think like in terms of playoff, like an at-large bid. Like, will it be Florida State and Clemson that both make the playoff? Because they play head-to-head, so obviously that's going to be a factor.
I want to look up win
totals too.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson also plays at Vatech and at Pitt in November. Like, that's not fun. Vatech playing there now is not a great. I mean, this is a team that's wildly improved. That's a team that's really interesting in that
The
conference
more
too.
we talk about Clemson, the more I convince myself that Florida State's going to be the team.
I just don't know. Like they lose so much. Like I'm not going to do the thing where I look at that ball game against Georgia. I mean, that team was done, right? But I do wonder. This is a lot to ask of a roster that has gotten a lot better. But man, did they lose a lot of talent. Like, they lose a shit ton. There's a lot of pressure on our friend DJ, unfortunately, this year. Or fortunately.
Yeah, that I think is going to be... I mean, just like you said with Kate Klubnik, it's like, what are we going to get? Like, are they...
DJ played better.
Well, yes, at Oregon State, of course, but that was a very good team as well. Not to say that Florida State's not a good team, but their offensive line, I think, is... it's
beefy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're keeping quite a few of their starters. So that
Clemson's
actually is a positive, so I will take that. Now I'm convincing myself that Florida State. What about the Miami fans that are yelling at this podcast while listening? What about us? What about us? How do you feel about Miami? Because we love Cam Ward. Yeah.
We love Cam Ward.
So,
and the roster is good. There's no reason this thing shouldn't vibe.
Yeah.
But it hasn't. So if you're looking at a team that could like blow past expectations, that's the one.
Yes. Okay.
But like, the dumb shit radar. So by the way, real quick, Clemson's win total is 9, over -115. Florida State is 9.5. The over is -10, and Miami's is 9, -125. It's really close. Like really, really close. Like that is incredibly even.
So everybody's on the same vibe that we are, at least the bettors.
I wish I liked Miami more than I do. And I really like Cam Ward, but I don't know.
I mean, I know they play Florida to start, but like they have Virginia Tech at home, which, by the way, I have been to a Virginia Tech at Miami. Fun fact. A couple years ago.
I mean, that is not an easy game.
No, but then they play Louisville. That's the other team we need to be talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they played in the championship game last year. Albeit,
I feel like
truly that
is a team that nobody is giving enough credit. I mean, clearly they're the first out of the top 25. I think their schedule too. If Louisville starts off, let's see, I want to say like 4-0. I looked up the other day. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, if they're going as 3-0, if they go into that Notre Dame game undefeated, they'll definitely, I mean, they'll be ranked before they go into that game with Notre Dame, if I had to guess. But also that could be a really tough game for Notre Dame. I know it's at Notre Dame, but still. That could be an interesting shakeup in the ACC.
The other team that I really would want to well, Vatech is one. Vatech last year, if you've watched them, they were awful. And then last year, they really started to kind of figure it out, right? They have good players. They have a quarterback that can run. 10-1 to win the conference. So they're right behind Louisville. The other team, Vatech and SMU, if you're looking for a little bit of a long odds of teams that could just maybe inject chaos into the equation.
That is actually a good one.
That's, SMU is a team that's on the rise, I think. They play Florida State at home. They play at Louisville. I mean, that schedule's not that bad. Still so fucking weird they're in the ACC.
I know. Same with Stanford and Cal. That's so bizarre.
What is SMU's? Man, I am like...
You're ready to bet?
I need more screens. Yeah, I'm ready to bet. SMU's win total is 8.5. So they're like right in that
They're
mix.
In that cluster.
Virginia Tech. 8.5. Like, this is the ACC, right? So to the point about over or under 1.5 playoff teams, it'll be interesting to see who gets in that championship game and many who doesn't. Because if you have like a 2-loss team that doesn't get into that game, or depending on the situation, and is idle that weekend and can kind of wait for the chaos to fall to it, I mean, that's kind of how it's going to go. But I think the ACC is frisky, would be the word I would describe the ACC. I don't know if it's good. but it's frisky. And I am
Kind of like the
excited to see
Pac-12 2 years
it.
ago. Not last year, but the year before.
Yes, fun. Like ACC, fun. Big 12, I'd say slightly
Absolute
elevated
chaos.
version of this. I don't know. Maybe
No,
not.
absolute madness. That is going
Absolute
to
chaos.
be, those games are going to be so fun. I cannot wait.
Yeah, Stanford, too. That's the other one. Jesus
Next
Christ.
week we're going to do Big 12 and Big 10 together, and then we'll do SEC on week 0, just for preview purposes for our friends that are listening. Anything else on the ACC and any other teams you want to give love?
One hilarious thing. Stanford plays TCU, Cal Poly, then they play at Syracuse, and then they play at Clemson, Virginia Tech, and then at Notre Dame, and then at NC State. Like, this sucks. This sucks. No, but that's about it. I love football. We don't hate the ACC. In fact, after diving into it the way we did, this is a very fun football conference.
It is.
So
by the way, I did want to tell you that I know last week on Random Stuff we talked a little bit about Hard Knocks, and you asked me if I had watched. I did watch and see Nick Saban on there, so now I know what you were talking about. That was definitely on brand for me. Ugh, to listen to him talk all day. I love him.
And the fact that we get him on game day every week is gonna be fun. I'm very much looking forward to having more coach in our life. All right. So
also,
next
did you see the tweet today about him at the ESPYs?
No.
About how Miss Terry said she was doing a luncheon for Nick's kids today, I think, or something. And there was a comment she made about how she nudged him before he was about to accept his award and told him to give her his gum. And he was like, I already put it under the seat.
He's like a giant toddler.
I just love this version of him that we get.
What do you think he's feeling right now? Like, what do you think?
Content. I think he's just very content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's chill.
I mean, it's to go that hard and to win that much for that long. Talk about a change of pace. It's just got to be unbelievable. But
and like what we do is so fun. Like, he gets to do what we do, where he gets to be like not a fan, but he gets to talk about the sport that he loves, and there's no pressure of winning or losing. If you have a bad show, you have a bad show, but you move on to the next one and you start over next week, and it's not, in the record book. Like, no one's keeping track of how many bad shows you have. You don't have a record to your name, But he gets to just enjoy it, and I think that's a beautiful thing for a guy like that.
He plays golf, play golf during the week, and then go to wherever the hell they're going.
Do his to-dos that Miss Terry wrote out.
Yep. Always got to do the to-dos first thing. And he has golfing. All right, I know we were running long. Any random shit?
No, I think we covered our random shit at the beginning.
I got one random shit. My youngest son officially goes to kindergarten tomorrow. So I am out
like, no way.
I got 3 kids taking the bus tomorrow. So,
wait, are you going to be okay?
Yeah, I'll be okay. I think my wife will struggle.
I remember when he was born. That sounds so old of me, but
I know.
I remember the summer he was born.
Yeah.
And just being so excited for you. Oh my gosh. I can't believe he's that old.
It's a little weird.
Did he turn 5 this summer?
Yeah, so yes, turned 5 this summer. So
I feel
he's so ready. Like, he'll be fun. But it is going to be a weird. It'll be a weird. I'm looking forward. It'll be a fun morning. But it's weird, man. I'm getting old, and we got 3 kids on the bus now, and it is nice. Hopefully, they're supporting each other and not creating conflict with each other. This is the dinner conversation here in about an hour of help each other out, especially Jack, my middle son. So yeah, we got 3 kids going to the bus tomorrow, so that's a big day. We'll have content. We'll have social media content.
Oh my gosh, how
for sure.
cute.
Okay.
Well, I hope they have a great first day.
Yes.
It's so crazy.
Oh, thank you. That's very...
We're growing up.
Even though you called Iowa the worst fucking football team ever, I appreciate it.
I just said it was betting the under. I feel like that's a fair thing to do. I feel like that's smart. It's like business, basically. It's just a business
So
transaction.
It's an investment, is what it is.
It is. It's an investment in my
right.
wedding future. I have to have a wedding, so I need to be able to pay for things. Any extra cash is welcome.
So next week, we will preview more teams and we will break down football games. Holy shit.
We've got Big 12, Big 12 and Big 10. Sorry, I know you're trying to give us an outro, but I was trying to tell the people next week is that. And then we'll do SEC all at once.
No, for Paige. All right. Well, there you go. Hopefully we'll remember
Paige and Adam.
Paige. I am Adam. What's that? For Paige and Adam. We're out.